Welcome to another program, Africans in the Diaspora. If you are just joining us today, this is a program whereby we meet Africans in the diaspora to share experiences, being religious, business, or lifestyle. It's your presenter, RAMZY of Saidoubah Video Production and Sound System. Today's guest is a very special person. With me is the Minister of Tourism and Culture of the Republic of the Gambia, Honorable HAMAT, who was born and brought up in Upper Salum in the Central River Division of the Gambia. He worked as a teacher at the Gambia College before becoming a manager at Novotel Hotel in Koto Strand. As I said earlier on, he is the current Minister of Tourism and Culture in the Gambia and started his life career being a teacher. Honorable HAMAT is also a politician who entered politics in 1996 when he stood as the newly formed National Reconciliation Party NRP candidate in the first presidential election since Yahya Jammeh's coup d'etat in 1994. He is also the leader of the National Reconciliation Party, NRP, and has been a presidential candidate in 1996, 2001, and 2011. He was the National Assembly member for Upper Salum from 1997 to 2015. Honorable HAMAT, welcome to the program, Africans in the Diaspora.
Thank you very much.
As I just said, you started being a teacher at the Gambia College, then left and to be a hotel manager. And then now you are the Minister of Tourism and also the leader of NRP, which is a political party. I was wondering, why is it that you left your party and become a Minister of Culture, or are you still running that party?
I am 110% running my party and leader and secretary of the National Reconciliation Party. The party is among the 7 parties that are composed of the current coalition government of Adama Barrow. Yes. So
is working with our Barrow not going to affect your party?
No, it's not going to affect our party. In fact, that's the concept some people have, but I think that's the opposite. Working with Adama Barrow is strengthening democracy and stabilizing the country because, as you know, that we're coming from a 22 years of dictatorship. And historically, wherever a dictator goes, we have chaos and carnage. And indeed, in most cases, become a failed state. Therefore, it's important that some of us who are aware of these ramifications supports Adama Barrow 100% and make sure that Adama Barrow succeeds in the process of stabilizing the Gambia, restoring democracy, and also rebuilding the economy. We believe that all parties should support Adama Barrow, and that's why the NRP is 100% committed to the government of Adama Barrow.
And tell us more about this NRP party of yours.
Well, you see, as you're aware, yes, you said originally, earlier on, in 1996, when, of course, the Jammeh regime toppled the Jawara regime in 94, and of course in September, the elections of September 1996, the UDP composed of PPP, NCP and GPP, and of course there was of course the PDOIS, and there was this group of Gambia College students who were expelled from the college, felt that they should come with a new platform. We are not believers of what the PDOIS was, nor did we wanted to be part of the past of the Jawara regime. And then we came up to form, some of us came up to form the National Reconciliation Party. Eventually, of course, some left. But we stayed and maintained and held the fort for the party to grow up to the level where we are. Today, the party is holding the position minority leader in the Gambian National Parliament.
And also, like, people are saying, okay, you stood as a president. You wanted to be a president. 3 times you have been campaigning to be a president.
Yes.
And now you left all that to work with another man who is the president. How is it?
Well, you see, I did not, my ambition is still there to be president, and I'm working really to make sure I become president. But I cannot be selfish. At the moment, I think what is important for Gambian is to support Adama Barrow, to make sure that he succeeds. And you know, God determines who becomes a president.
Yeah.
If wishes were horses, many people would have been riding. You know that. I still harbor and still want to be president of the Republic of the Gambia. But notwithstanding all that, if God decides somebody becomes a president, we support that person and make sure that really he succeeds. So tomorrow again, you see, if you do one good, God pays you good. So I think it's important that, spite of my desire to be president, to support somebody who have already been chosen to be president by Almighty Allah to rule the Gambia. But my ambitions are very strong, clear. I still want to be president of the Gambia. That's no doubt about that. But I also believe in Almighty's decision. As I said, it's time for Adama Barrow, and we have to support him for the good of our country.
That's so kind of you to think of the people of the country
yes.
instead of your interests.
We need stability. We need that. That's what the country needs at the moment. We need to build democratic institution. We need to support the process of national reconciliation. We need to support the process of rebuilding the economy, putting back most of what we have lost in the last 22 years. And Adama is the one chosen by God to head that government. Therefore, our party is committed to that process.
We are happy to have people like you in our country.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And there is this thing that people are saying, okay, Honorable Hamadba is the one who says whatever people don't want to talk about, especially these 3 years and 5 years term that is going on right now. I'm too curious to know why is it that you said there is nowhere you people sign that is 3 years, you only agreed.
That's the fact too. We agreed that we should have 3 years, but we didn't sign the document for 3 years. I am saying let anybody prove me wrong by producing that document before and show me the signature where we signed that 3 years was what we have to be. We agreed in principle, of course. There's no doubt about that. I want to reiterate that. But what is important is, as I said yesterday, we didn't expect the magnitude of problems that we found on the ground when we took over. And you must understand also rebuilding state institutions that were destroyed is not an easy task. And you have to understand that there are legal ramifications in most of the issues that we need to address. Therefore, knowing the type of job that we have to do and the task that we need to accomplish in the next 3 years, we realized that it was impossible. And the constitutional mandate for the Adama Barrow government is 5 years. And the constitution supersedes any other agreement that, we might have agreed or we might have, wanted to put in place. You understand that the Truth and Reconciliation, the TRC, has not started. Very soon it will start. We have a lot to know what happened to who, when and where, and who gave the orders, and who carried out the orders. Because people have gone, yes, but their parents, their children need to know who are those responsible of their disappearance, their killing, and all that. Right now, I'm sure you must have had the Financial Commission that's looking into the financial activities of the former president and his associates. We've not even gone halfway of what need to be revealed or what need to be investigated. However, the commission is coming to wind up, but there will still be the process will still continue, and the revelations are teaching us a lot of lessons, and these lessons must be addressed. Just last week, we addressed the new Central Bank Amendment Act, which gives the central bank governor the power to govern the bank, and the president doesn't have any more right to sack a central bank governor without going through due process. This is because we need to strengthen state institutions, and we need a judiciary that nobody can also use to fight political opponents or to foster or to advance their agenda at the expense of the Gambian people. We need to rebuild that institution. We are lucky to have a very good Chief Justice and, of course, judges who are now independent and doing their work. But the institution needs to be reformed and a lot of things need to be done. We need a very strong police force. And I'm sorry the Faraba incident have taught people a lesson, where the Inspector General of Police has to resign because that was unthinkable before. And we want to build a police force that nobody can corrupt, a police force that is apolitical, a police force that will serve the Gambian people and not an individual, a police force that cannot be used as an instrument to kill or to arrest, detain, torture, or beat or imprison opponents because they are just having a different view of the government. We need a very strong army. We need to have all these institutions, a very independent electoral commission that will preside over election transparently, that Gambians will appreciate and accept when the results are declared. These things are all things that need to be done. We need to rebuild the economy. We inherited less than 1 week of import cover. Today we are 3 months going to 4 months, and eventually we'll get to 6 months to 1 year. We're rebuilding the reserves. And we need to also reform the civil service and take into account this predicament that our civil servants are going through, and at least make them a bit more comfortable that they can serve. The attrition rate is very high in the civil service. We've lost some fantastic great brains who have gone to work somewhere else. They all want to come and work for their country, but the incentives, the atmosphere must be there. Job security must be there for them. And they must be recognized also and be respected. And that they are not treated as pawns as we have seen in the past. Prior to 94, Gambia had one of the best civil service in Africa. And we want to restore that. You cannot do this in 3 years.
But you cannot also do it in 5 years.
We believe in 5 years we can accomplish something, that we would have got a new constitution that can lead us to election, that we have all this institutional reform. We believe in 5 years we can do it. We cannot do all, but I think the next government coming will do the rest. But the basics, the fundamentals must be done.
I agree with you, but okay, like for us, we the youths, we were born in Jammeh's regime, and when Jammeh left, we were there. When Adam Barrow came, we were there. But we also need security for our future. And how can we believe that within these 5 years, you people can build something for us?
You see, I think some of you need to go back to rediscover yourselves, in the sense that you are 60%, 65% of our national population. You are very important to us, and you played a great role towards the changes that we achieve. The youths were very key in it. They were campaigning with us, sleeping in everywhere. We recognize that. But again, our youths must have to rethink. We will do what it takes to give you the jobs, but you must take the jobs. That culture of job inferiority must go away from your minds. You cannot think that you are inferior because this job you don't want to do, you don't want to do that, you try to choose what job to do. In as much as we go to school, we learn, we are not only learning to be in offices, you learn to be any other thing, to be a scientist, a doctor, whatever you what choose to be. And we must learn you have to be an apprentice to be able to qualify to be something in some of this profession. Practically, you have to do something. And I think the great opportunity that we have in the country, our youth must rise up to take them up. We will make the atmosphere possible, the environment possible, and create necessary and conducive atmosphere that would certainly give you the opportunity to show who you are and what you can do for your country. But I think sitting on social media talking and Facebook and all that, leaving your chance of reading and studying and getting what you need to get, and going to the field to try to get something is something that we need to balance. Whilst our youths are commendable, they are great, there are other aspects of life that you people have to rediscover. And you must understand that we have some cultural values and norms, practices that we need to protect and preserve in our society. And today's youths need to go and study the past. If they are not told by their parents, they need to study and read about it. We had a beautiful society. We have what we call the extended family system, of course, which have some degree of parasitical affiliation that we need to do away with. But I think it's an institution, the family is an institution, it's a learning institution where our youths need to learn a lot of the past through their parents and grandparents. And with those virtues and those values inculcated in their minds, I think they should be able to chart a new way and cooperate with the current government and chart a new way forward for the betterment of our country. It's easy to criticize, but it's very important to be participatory so that you can succeed.
In as much as I agree with you that we the youths have to accept the jobs that are available, but are there enough jobs for all the youths?
There can never be enough jobs for any country anywhere in the world because not everybody can work. But there are jobs that we can take over and make a difference. Let me give you one example today. Why are we buying eggs to feed our tourists who are in the hundreds of thousands? Why are we buying Irish potato? Why are we buying onions? Why are we buying chicken? Why are we buying milk? Why are we buying meat somewhere? Importing all these things, vegetables. Where are our youths? Why can't they go there, get it done, supply it, give it the money? There's millions of dollars going outside. We'd rather stay home, reduce poverty, enhance our riches, and position our youths for the better future that we will all be proud of tomorrow. I think once again, we need to go back to the drawing board. Where are we getting it wrong? How can we get it right?
But before the youths can work there, should the government not have at least a poultry farm where they can start up? Because we don't have that money to start up the business.
We have a program called YEP. And this program is training thousands of youths and supporting them in that process. What we are saying is the youths must take over this challenge. The saying is, you can take a cow to the well, you can never force the cow to drink. And I think, really, it's important that we think of what do we want and how do we get there. Going to Europe is good, but not everybody today can make a difference going to Europe. You see how the cream of our society, how they're dying at sea. And worst of all, let me tell you, the saddest part of it, the ratio of girls and boys is too high. If you have all these boys dying at sea, who is going to marry these young girls to build a family? We are all religious people. We are either Muslims or Christian. And we want to build families that are part of, that's a very important institution which is part of our society. If all these boys leave our country in thousands, go to Europe, some of them die at sea, who will marry these young ones? Where they can practice their religion, where they can be proud to build a society like the one they're coming from, or a better one for that matter. These things have implications beyond what you are seeing now. And I can tell you in 10 years, we start to feel that. And these are some of the things that we are encouraging you. Let's do it home. We are ready to support you. And let's work together. We are ready to partner with you. And let's move our country. We are together in it. And that's what we want. Tell your colleagues and friends that let's go and see what we can do. The Gambia River is there. A lot of opportunity exists that we can do something and make a difference. It's easy to criticize. Facebook, WhatsApp, say all sorts of things. At the end of the day, we'll be gone, you will be staying here. Before that, you need to tap from our experience, what we can do, and try to help you to build a better future.
Thank you for that. We will take note and come for the job.
Well, I hope so. I hope that you take note and then take up this job, and it's a huge challenge. At the end of the day, you see a lot of rich farmers here. They're doing everything, and they're feeding this country. In America, only 4% are farmers. They can feed the whole world. Yes, cannot be different overnight. Asia started small-scale farming. Today, they're exporting the rice you are eating at home is coming from Asia, when 20 years ago, we are not importing that much of rice. We eat rice, paddy rice in our homes, in our villages. Today is no more, because we are not doing it. What Asia can do, and we taught them what they are doing, some of them. Why can't we do it? We are not even talking about Europe, but Asia, where we are buying our rice.
I understand.
Thank you.
You're also the Minister of Tourism and Culture.
Yes.
How is it like?
Not easy, difficult, but we thank God. It was very difficult when we took over. The country was facing some serious challenges in the tourism sector, and of course in the field of arts and culture, in the field of music, the film of cinema industry, and all that. We had a lot of challenges. But you know, with the will of God, and we had a very strong team, very determined team, within the Ministry of Tourism, in terms of the GTHI, the GT board, the NCAC, very dedicated professionals who supported us with our new policy. And those policies are getting some dividends. We're seeing some results coming in gradually. You know, change is always full of fear. People don't want change. When you talk about change, they live in a state of fear until they become convinced that the change is real, that they start to accept it. And fear is the greatest danger to mankind. It's been the biggest cause of war in history. All the world wars that you see, all the problems we went through, is all because of fear. And when you talk about change, there is fear. But thank God we had men and women who were determined and ready to accept the change of policy and the change of government. And they all came on board. It was not easy in the beginning, tough, but we came to understand each other. And they also came to learn about the new policy, which is now giving us what we are having today. We can proudly say we have our highest number of arrivals this year since independence. And that's great. And we now see the thousands of job possibility that is coming in the next 2 years to come. And the numbers of tourists, as you see here in Scandinavia, we now started getting the Scandinavian market in a big way. And that's just a beginning of the process. So we believe that we're making some inroads. But this is not only us. The president has been #1 supporter of tourism. The entire cabinet have supported tourism. You see, that's why the president took up tourism and culture and make it a priority sector in his government. It has never happened in the history of Gambia, if you go to the NDP. And that shows that President Barrow have seen the importance of tourism. With or without rain, money will flow when you have tourists. And that you will exist as a government. And that makes a difference. And that's why not only President Barrow, the entire cabinet, the entire country support what we are doing. And they're with us in this process. Not without hurdles, as I said. They will always be there. Not without skeptics. They will always be there. Not without those who want to obstruct. They will always be there. But at the end of the day, when they see the reality, they will join the wagon. And I'm sure they will come.
Yeah.
So we're trying our best. We also see now the changes we are effecting in the cultural industry. We've signed the Copyright Regulation Act into force, and we are now working on giving a national festival week of national festival, reviving the Root Festival, restoring the national troupe, looking at the Writers Association, looking at our dramas and all the other musicians, the artists. We are working on trying to build a national center for arts and a national theater center and all these things. The School of Art, School of Music, these are all projects that we have to promote Gambia's culture, to promote our image, project our country to what we are and who we are. That shows our identity. We cannot put that at the back. And that's why we try to get something done for them and see how best we can support them to make sure that they go to school and they don't follow tourists, to make sure that their parents understand that going to school is important and support their parents too, because they also need to benefit in tourism. And we have a program of taking tourism beyond Greater Banjul area. We want to take it throughout the country. We have a policy now, a program that when implemented effectively, tourism will be, and we want to encourage Gambians to be tourists in their own country. And we are working on that too. The facilities need to be made available, affordable, and that Gambians will be able to use it. So it's important. We're doing something. It's not easy, cannot be overnight. We lay the foundation so that when somebody comes after me, he will find something there and get it done and continue the process. And that's what we are doing.
Thank you for that. And do you have some youth working within the tourism board?
A lot of them, indeed. A lot of them are enthusiastic and want to work in the tourism board. Very much indeed. When you put up one application, you want 5 people, 10,000 will apply, or 5,000 will apply. That shows that they are interested in working in the tourism board. And the tourism board have some programs that are supporting them at every level. But you have to understand that we need the money to do marketing. Marketing is very expensive. Most countries have got money from World Bank, IDB, ADB, and so on. We're doing something. Our country don't have the money to do that, but we are trying to source out, see where we can source the money to support our tourism sector so that we have one of the best tourism industry in West Africa and in Africa for general. It's not going to be an easy task. That's why the Tourism Hospitality Institute also have changed its syllabus and is now training people at a higher level so that we can produce quality personnel that would support the development of the industry at the highest level. And this is why we are doing it all together. So it is not only doing one and leaving the other one.
It's good. And also, there was this question I was wondering. You talked a lot about we, the youths, accepting the jobs and there are job opportunities. But do they have a school whereby they can learn these skills? Because I went to St. Peter's, and St. Peter's we all know is a technical school. Yes. But are there other schools that are ready to help students?
Well, we have skill centers that we are closed and they will be opening this year. The Julangel skills, I can name a lot of them. But what I can tell you, YEP is doing something about that. YEP is doing something about that. And people are being trained. And GTTI, GTTI, and many other institutions are well prepared this year to take up that challenge to train our youths for national development. And I'm sure the Gambian youth will take up the opportunity. And I'm sure they have now realized that going back way can be important, but doing in your country is more important. And I think that's important for us to understand and get that message across the youths in the Gambia.
I'm impressed with your response. But then you know that you have been a presidential candidate, and obviously there are people who don't want you to be president, no matter what.
Yes.
And there are some people who would die to see you to be a president, and they're not happy with you working with another president right now.
Yes.
What do you have for those people?
You see, people have a right to make a choice. People have their own desire. And when you lead, you have everybody on board. There are people who are extremists, they love you to the extreme, and there are those who hate you to the extreme. But what is important is the Gambia. And the Gambia is more important than any of the political parties and individuals in those parties. Our party understands that we have some weaknesses that need to be addressed. We are going through restructuring and reorganization. We are having our party conference sometime in the next 2 months to sit down and lay the foundation that will lead us to the convention in 2019, which is an obligation by law. We are talking on how to see to restructure, reorganize, and revamp the party to support the current government to succeed. Because the success of this government is key to the success of democracy in our country. And our party believes that we can restructure, reorganize ourselves and move forward. But building a party is not a 10-year issue, a 20-year issue. It takes about 50 years to build a strong party. Most of these parties you're hearing have been living for 100 years. And by building a party, it's a continuous process that no one person can do by himself. But you have to build it as an institution that stays after your departure. And the problem we have in the Gambia, and Africa generally, parties are associated to individuals. Once they are gone, the parties are dead. And that we need to put a stop, because we are not developing parties as state institutions. And that's why when the leadership is gone, there is chaos, there is problem, and they end up dying. And we keep on forming new ones every day that never survive this storm. Because it's easy to form a party, but difficult to keep a party running and moving. It's not easy. It's very difficult, particularly in a country where there is massive poverty, particularly a country like the Gambia. And that's why you will see a lot of parties coming. But how long can they survive? Can they survive for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years as we have survived? Some of them, the answer is no. A lot of parties are formed by name. But what can they achieve? What is their contribution? And you know, politics is about, democracy is about, one of the issues of democracy is about numbers. Because if you don't have the numbers, you will not be counted. No matter how loud the voice is, no matter how big the noise is, if you don't get the numbers, you become irrelevant. And how do you get to the number? How do you get the numbers? It's by reaching out to the people at the right time and giving them the right message. And indeed, then you stand a chance to be heard when the ballot is counted. And that's what our party is doing now. We are restructuring, reorganizing. We understand a lot of things that we need to correct within our party ranks. And we accept it. And we're going to work on it. And we're going to address it.
That's good. What if there is another party on the way coming?
Let 1,000 parties come, as I said. We're expecting nothing less than 50 new parties. Let them come, 50 new parties. But how long will they survive this term? That's the issue now.
That's good.
Yes.
Do you have some advice for the youths back home?
Not only the youths, but the Gambians in general. Let's keep the peace in our country. Let not be misled by people who thought they would be president. Naturally, they have a God-given right to rule the Gambia, and they are not. Their messages, their intention to be frustrated and to make sure that what is important for us now is to support, build a country that we'll all be proud of. And what we want is the human spirit. It is important we do that. It is not the power that compels our desire to get what we do. The wind can never blow it. The money cannot buy it. It's the human spirit that can make it happen. And that's what we're looking for. That human spirit is what I urge Gambians to demonstrate and to move on and to avoid violence. It's important. We are a small country that can only be relevant when we are peaceful. That can only be relevant when we build a strong economy under a peaceful environment. That can only be relevant when we build a country that is reconciled. We put aside this so-called tribalism and all the vices of democracy and human survival and move our country forward. That's what we need. And that's my advice.
Thank you so much, Honorable Hamad.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
It was amazing to have you to our program.
It's a pleasure. We pray for you and for everybody for that matter. And we thank your organization. You've been very positive, and you've always been positive about the Gambia. You've never broadcast any information that is negative or destructive to our country. We trust in you, we believe in you, and we praise you and will pray for you. May Allah the Almighty guide you and continue to guide all of you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, we